I just kind of wanted to start this off by, having you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about, um, your run for re-election, some things you've learned, and look to bring with you in this next term.
Okay, thank you, and honored to be here. I'm Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hutson. I've been in office 3.25 years, although it seems like much longer, given the way I've been kind of covered. But ran for sheriff because I wanted to impact mental health, addiction, and trauma in this community. And I knew that if we can deal with those three issues, we will really help make us one of the safest cities, true public safety. All the things that we learned during George Floyd, which have now been kind of forgotten, we know that does work. And so that's why I ran for office. Been working on doing exactly what I promised this community I would do, which is treat mental health better in the jail. Have addiction treatment, which we did not have before I got in there. Our provider wouldn't do it, so we had to change the provider, and then really just ramp up all our services and treatment for those in our custody. What was the last part I was supposed to talk about?
Oh yeah, just what you're looking to bring in your next term. You've done these past couple of years. What else would there be on this next term?
So we've kind of methodically set about just doing the work. So there's upgrading the medical and mental health, but now we created a compliance bureau so we can comply with the consent judgment. That's a big task to do when you only have 60% staffing, but we will soon, before the end of this year, every one of the 174 paragraphs will be in some form of compliance. And really, we just need more deputies to be able to get it to where we're in what's called substantial compliance, so that we can get out of the consent judgment. So that's important because we spend so much money on the consent judgment. Medical and mental health alone are about 21 million per year. And then, administrative costs another 500, but all of the organization has to comply with the consent judgment. Mm-hmm. So that's food, that's transportation, that's everything that has to do with those in custody. So the cost is almost all of the 52 million of our budget is all about complying with the consent judgment. So looking forward to getting that done. But we're putting the systems in place now where we want to do this program. It's a best practice called strategic inmate management. That's the only time you're ever going to hear me use the I word, okay? Mm-hmm. I call them residents. I get a lot of flack for that, but I don't like the I word. So, but this practice is about just, first of all, listening to people. What are their needs? What do we need to do for them while they're in custody? It's a scary place. It's a lonely place. It's a tough place while you're waiting trial. And what can we do to help them, number one, deal with what they're dealing with, and then but still be able to support their families, because everybody in that jail is a parent. Mm-hmm. So you just try and deal with that. It brings the temperature down in the jail. It brings the fights down. It allows people to be able to now support their lawyer in their defense, right? You can't do that if you're fighting and doing all these things all the time. So we're able to, we've got that moving slowly throughout the jail. There are 24 housing units. We've got it in 1.5 right now, because it's just, you need a lot of deputies. You need a lot of deputies to be able to do it. So, but we put the structures in place that we need to this first term. The second term is getting the deputies to get the work done. Mm-hmm. We didn't even talk about programming or victim services or any of that.
Right. Yeah, and we're about to get into some of that. So thank you for sharing that. I wanted to just kind of jump a little bit into the jail medical care and contractor accountability. So, federal monitors reported serious lapses by the jail's health contractor, including falsified suicide watch logs and unlicensed staff making medical decisions. What have you done to hold the contractor accountable to both yourself and the general public?
Yeah, so there our new contractor, which is Wexford Health. They came in, and we had to remove WellPath, which, as you may know, all around the country get sued for just for the type of care that they give. So we bought in the new one, and we kept a lot of the same personnel, but some we lost. So they are down personnel as well. They've got to build that back up. Everybody's struggling for personnel these days, and so they've struggled a little bit for that. So what we are trying to do for them is make sure they have as deputies on board. We did not have that kind of relationship with WellPath where we met regularly between security and medical to make sure they're able to do what they need to do, whether we do MedPass, 3 times, I think, per day, and you're talking about thousands of pills. So we're making sure that we coordinate better so that they can get in there and do what they're supposed to do, and our security is there with them. But we also, there's a city has a contract monitor, and our compliance bureau also works with Wexford to say, okay, what's the issue here? You're trying to hire somebody else. When we do hiring and have job fairs, we include them in our job fairs so they can help get their numbers up. But we try to work it out with them, whatever the issue is, because they're our partner in this, and we got to support them. But we do want them to get to the standard of care we're trying to get to.
Right. Is there like a way to change vendors if the problem was to continue to persist?
Yeah. It's absolutely possible.
Okay. Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and ask a couple of questions.
So, the jail population has basically doubled since you came into office. I believe, if I remember correctly, when you took office, there was less than 1,000 residents there, and now there is just overpopulated. So, despite the crime going down, the jail population has continued to rise exponentially. And it seems most people don't even know how or why. We have long exceeded the City Council's jail capacity ordinance, yet nobody is held accountable. What is the systemic dysfunction that is going on at Tulane and Broad, and what role can you play in speeding this up?
Yeah, I just want to correct one thing. Nobody's being held accountable but me. They keep asking me, why do I have so many people in custody? I have nothing to do with, very little to do with that. I think we arrest maybe 1,000 people per year, mostly if they come into civil court with warrants. But we do some patrolling as well, but most of the 10,000 arrests per year are by other agencies. So we don't decide who comes in. And you can't get out without a court order, so we don't decide who leaves. So, and there isn't even a mechanism, even though the city council set the limit at 1,250, there is no mechanism for me to release people. There isn't one. So when they're here, they're here. We went up to 1,600, I believe, in 2023 towards 2024. We've got juveniles in the jail now. So it's been a real stressor for our organization and those in there, and for those in our custody. At one point, normally it's double bunks for most of the population. At one point, we had to put more bunks in there for people to be able to sleep. So it was just way too much. So I created what's called the Jail Population Management Unit, so we can see who's in here and for what reasons. And so we went to every actor in the agency. Every actor in the criminal justice system, public defender, prosecutors, judges, clerk, city council. We shared this information with city council as well. If we just cut the number of days that people who are going to get out anyways are in custody by, maybe we're back up. We had cut down from 88 days on average for people to get out, which is twice the national average. We had gone down to about 43 days, but now we're going back up again. If we just cut those number of days that people who are going to get out anyways by 10 days, it would drop the population by like 200, 300 people.
Wow.
So we go to all the other actors. I said, it took a long time to say that, we went to them and said, look, if we can we started being more electronic with the courts. It used to be, at the end of this, when I got into office, at the end of the day at courts, our deputies would hand walk paper over to the jail, and you could not get out of jail. Even if you were released that morning, couldn't get out of the jail till these paperwork got to the jail later on that day, or that night if they had a trial. So now we're getting that electronically until the new systems come in, so we can be faster in moving people and getting them released from jail. We talked to the clerk about some paperwork that had to be done to get them ready, because sentencing's a big issue, and how long people really have to stay either in jail or at the state. And we've been sued, they've been sued, everybody's been sued about that. So there's some things we can do to be quicker. So we just talked, and then there's the trials. On average, it's about 2 years before people go to trial. But I've had people who've been in there 9 years, 5 years, 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that has just got to be quicker. The longer you stay in there, the more your mental health deteriorates, emotional health, and
Absolutely.
it's just not good.
Yeah, kind of I think this is a good segue to talk about staffing shortages. They've been severe, and all of your competitors are like certain that they can do it better. And we went through this dilemma year after year with a previous sheriff, and is it just wishful thinking that we can have hundreds of deputies in a stable workforce, or are we going to have a heavily subsidize these positions with free vehicles, rent subsidies, perks, etc.? What are your thoughts around that?
It's a tough job.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to this conference in between those who worked in prisons and those who were incarcerated formerly, and they formed this group, Chicago Beyond, to talk about better ways to run these facilities. And one of the things they told me, and I did not know this, was that on average, those who work in jails live 10 to 15 years less than the average population. So you work there, you serve also in a way. So you're like, okay, this is tough work, but our team makes $18.50 an hour, and that's up from the $15.50 they were making when I got into office. So if I'm competing with NOPD and they're making, I think, starting out around 60, 70,000, that's problematic. That's problematic. I have a sergeant. He's going to be leaving and going to the New Orleans Police Department. He will be a police officer, so he won't be a supervisor, but he'll make $30,000 more than he made at the sheriff's office.
Wow.
They have cars for everybody. The ARPA funds, they bought cars, 900 cars. We didn't get any of those, and we did not get the raises in a pay plan that we need to make this a career for people who love the work. And there are people who do want to help people. And that's who we're trying to target. People who see what we're trying to do, which is be more of a human services division. We have never had a problem anywhere in this country in holding people and taking them to trial. And there's no problem here with that either. The issue is, what do we do with folks while we have them when we have a chance to help?
Yeah.
Speaking of helping, you've mentioned classes and counseling, vocational training, and a re-entry center in partnership with the FIT clinic and other entities. What percentage of people actually get into those programs, and how often are sessions canceled due to staffing shortages? And what outcomes can be publicly tracked so we can see the results, so the public can see the results?
Yeah, so I don't have the latest. I get my monthly figures, which show me how many people go to programming per month. And I think in June it was around 400. So that's still a good number compared to our population's 1,400, but not everybody's able to go to that programming. But it's about 400 in the month of June, and we want to make that higher, but we may also be competing with medically assisted detox. So you may have to go to that first. You may not be able to go to a different type of programming. So just programs themselves about 400, but we've only been really doing programming about a year and a half. So as we continue to ramp up, we'll go higher and higher. But people are getting barbering training. Get a TWIC card in there. We now have HiSET, GED, and a high school diploma. So it just depends on if we have to cancel. Like sometimes we have to cut like religious programming. Sometimes our pastors or chaplains are not able to get in there because I've got to do something else. School, I make sure school stays at close to 100%. Everybody going to school per day. That wasn't happening when I got into office. Sometimes it would be 0 because they would punish the people with not letting them go to school. So it happens frequently that we do have to cut, and we do it just by priority. So if I have to do so much medical or mental health that day, that gets a priority, and we may cut programming.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned a medically guided detox program that you have in jail now, or in the prison now. Was that there before you took office? And how does that work? And if they are detoxed and come off and are clean while they are in prison, are they able to maybe not have to do jail time or get out sooner because now they're clean and can go into an outpatient program that can maybe pick up from where the inpatient prison program?
Yeah. So, and I remember this so clearly on the campaign trail, talking about how they treated addiction in the jail, and it was ibuprofen and I think fluids was it, but it wasn't much. And that was what was going on when I got into office. Then I had to move about. I kept asking WellPath to ramp it up. It wasn't happening because they didn't want to pay the costs, I believe. But they just resisted me. So at this point, I'm like, okay, we got to move forward. We got to move forward with a new provider, and I need to be really clear. This is a priority of the new provider providing these services. So now we're doing that. So they get Sublocade or something with pill form because that's cheaper. And so we get probably in the 300 range right now. But people are waiting to get in there. Again, we just don't have enough deputies and medical providers, you got to watch them for so many minutes before they can go back and stuff. So that's just kind of tough for us. But with the opioid funds that we're getting, we're working with FIT and other providers in the community, and we will have a reentry addiction clinic right across the parking lot. So when they leave, I want them to get the 30-day shots because I can't afford those for daily use. In the jail. But when they leave, because I can use those opioid funds for it, I want to do that. Give them a shot.
Yeah. Just talking a little bit about accountability and transparency, there's this immense pressure to report out bad news and report it quickly, right? So this came up with the escape, the mistaken release. There's been 2 deaths in 2022. Tell us a little bit about the policy and decision-making process that goes into these reports, be it the media, law enforcement, or directly to the public.
Yeah, first I want to say this, and I'm immensely proud of this because when we went through what we went through in 2022 and 2023, a death in the jail is it is something I absolutely will not have. We had to deal with those issues, and I've been very clear with my team. We cannot have that going on. We have had people die from cancer or other, life illnesses, but overdoses, and we had a suicide and a homicide that first year. We have not had that since 2023 in the Orleans Justice Center, and that's really important for me. We want you to have a shot being able to get out there. So we are really dealing with that. Transparency, when I first got into office, we put out the incidents which occur in the jail. They're still on our website if you want to go look. We're still doing that because it's important for people to know. And you're not going to find any other jail in the country that does that. But they use these buzzwords, transparency, to try and make it seem like I'm not doing the work that I'm doing. It reminds me of what's going on in Washington a little bit, right? They just tell you the opposite, but if they say it over and over again, people will believe it. So that's just not true. When I got into office, there were 200 public records requests waiting for me to finish. I had to answer those. And then that year, because they just kept coming at me, we probably did another 300 that year, half a year. And we answered them all. And they would tell me, the reporters would go on the side, hey, thank you for getting us those records. Records they're beating me up with, but when they get on camera, they talk about transparency. I thought that was really, then I started seeing how the game is played. I was like, wow, that is something. But we are transparent. They talk about our budget. We share our information with the city every month. We give it to the CAO's office, but the city and the city council don't necessarily communicate well together. I'm like, I'm not in this.
Right.
We have a consent judgment meeting with city council sitting on it and the city. And we sit down and we tell them, here's our needs for the consent judgment. That's what the judge set up before I got into office. We meet every time to tell them, here's what we need. And I've been talking about what's broken in there for 3 years. I said it from the very beginning. It would only cost us $3.5 million to fix it in 2022. Now it's just gonna be exponentially larger.
So to improve it is to make those conversations happen, right? For the departments to talk to each other better, correct?
That's right.
Okay. All right.
So I wanted to ask too, you mentioned the consent decree that you all have, that you're working toward having to fulfill while you're there also. With the mandates of the consent decree, does that make what you're doing and what you've been doing easier or harder or better or not?
It makes it harder because it mandates where some people need to be. Like I have to have certain deputies on certain pods, special management pods at all times. Well, that takes away from the rest of them, right? So instead of being able to rotate or put our own schedule together. We basically have to make sure those are covered at each time. So those are something. That's not a hard. I mean, that's not something that is not good. We do need people on those special management pods, but I do need to be able to decide where people go in the jail. So that gives me hamstrings. Handcuffs me a little bit. There's so many aspects of this consent judgment: water temperature, air temperature, classification, where people are housed. That's a big one. That's a big one because we follow the system that they have us follow, and it doesn't necessarily account for things like what ward are you from, what clique are you from, these types of things. So we're trying to work with our monitors now to change that, but it does it takes away some of my discretion, which being able to decide where to put resources is a big part of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Did I answer your question fully?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Your question fully, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
I think so, yeah. So, talking a little bit about the jail safety and conditions, we know firsthand how dangerous it is to throw dozens of people into a cell block, take everything away from them, and let them stew in their own dilemma 24/7 for weeks, months on end. And federal consent decree monitors have said bluntly that the jail is not safe for people in custody or staff. What specific situations make it unsafe, and what steps have you taken since those findings?
Yeah, so I don't necessarily agree with what they're saying. So on a daily basis, we feed 5,000 meals per day, give out thousands of pills. We do med pass 3 times a day. We are, clothing exchange, all the things that we do just regularly. Get them to court, specialty appointments all day long. If you know anything about the population, heavy medical needs, diabetes, heart failure. I've never seen so many folks with heart failures in a jail. It's a big duty, and we do that all day long. Now, do people get in here and fight? Yeah, they do a fight on the streets, and now they're all locked into this one jail. Gusman had and Fody had different jails for different wards. I don't have that. And I can't even really classify you like that. I have to classify you according to this matrix that we have. So it's really difficult to try and deal with all those things. But when you hold people here this long, when we don't have enough deputies to keep them having something to do all day, there's going to be fights. But mostly all day long, and the residents of the jail do the feeding, and they do the cleaning, and they do all these things inside the pod. So that's what happens all day long. They make it sound like people are just running around just fist fighting all day long, and that's not what's happening. So I have never seen, and maybe you have, but I've never seen a comparison between our jail and any other jail to show me what level of violence we're at versus them. So we do, with our new jail management system, which will have point-and-click technology, so that we can register fights, any issues going on, overdoses, all that type of thing. We will have better data moving forward, and then I'll be able to say, okay, yes, we're getting better, no, it's getting worse, etc.
The point-and-click technology, can you break that down?
Yeah, looks like it'll look like a cell phone,
Okay.
but so we had people saying, I'm doing my rounds in the jail. They're not doing them. Now I've got this technology, which is going to give me your GPS. It's going to give me the time. You don't fill out any of those things. So I got to get to hold my team accountable for the work they're supposed to do.
Okay.
The number one deterrent for any issues is having a deputy on the pod.
Okay.
One of the things I wanted to ask about, you were talking about how dangerous the jail was. Pretty much previous time, it's a whole lot better now. And one of the ways that I've noticed that it's better is that there used to be like just an ongoing knowledge that everybody accepted the rampant drug use and drug availability in the Orleans Parish Jail forever. And since you've taken office, I've not heard that as much anymore.
It was a big issue when I first got into office, a big issue, and you just hold your breath every time you hear the call. It has really gotten a lot better. We do not have that going on all day long. It still occurs. There are people who work for me, And there are a number of ways for the drugs to get in the jail. There's when they go to court, when they go to medical appointments. There are people who've been caught at the courts, at the hospitals, other places, trying to get these drugs in because it's so lucrative. It's such a well-paying vocation. So we've been fighting that, more shakedowns, random shakedowns, trying to find, the drugs and get those out. And it's been going really well because obviously the biggest issue that could take a life in the jail is an overdose. And then second would be a medical condition. So we're feeling good about what the work we've been doing. It's not what it was at all. And now with the medically assisted detox, they can get the drugs for free and don't have to risk their own lives.
So you talked a little bit about, mental health being your passion, and so I want to give you some time to speak on that a little bit more. So our organization opposed building this new unit, and you were the only city official who actually tried to block it. But here we are, $100 million broker, and you will be under new orders to staff it up with guards and licensed mental health clinicians. How will you ensure it delivers treatment, not just rebranded incarceration? And what metrics can OPSO provide to show that?
Yeah, I came out in the streets with y'all when y'all were protesting the building. What a waste of money. From my perspective, that's money I could use to have a pay plan. We could use to pay our medical and mental teams better. Make sure we got more folks in there for that. So we're gonna be able to. I think the one good part of it is it will give us more space for what we need to do, but it also now gives me a second housing unit that I've got to make sure there are no drugs in. And so that's a daunting task. And when your team is part of that, you've got to watch them even more closely, shake down more, because this is the most vulnerable population right here, the mental acute population that we're dealing with. It is the jail will be better than the one they're in down near Norman Francis, but that little space is better for us because we can give more intimate care. We can see everybody better, see what's going on with everybody. We rarely have any issues down there. Now we're going to get into this bigger facility. It's going to be a problem. I need 50 more deputies at a minimum to staff it, and I still need 150 deputies for the big jail. So it's going to be a problem. And then the city's not giving me any more money. I don't know, even if I get these deputies, who's going to pay for them? So I wish we had instead been able to work on paying our deputies and then creating a mental health space outside the jail to help stabilize folks so they don't even have to be in here.
Speaking of money and budgeting, the council leaders have pushed for your office to use BRASS. It's the city's public budgeting system, so spending is visible supposedly in real time. You have pushed back saying you have a similar system rolling out. Can you please give us an update on that tug of war and tell us how we can see that information is publicized?
Yeah, so BRASS, I used it when I was a police monitor for years. It is not the be-all, end-all at all. Very difficult to use. It's time-consuming. It causes a number of problems. But what's most important is it does not meet our needs. So our financial system, which was probably 1990s, black screen, green prompt, okay? I learned that when I was in high school in the 80s. That's old technology. It's almost impossible to be able to use that technology today to really drive our function. So we just put out an RFP for a new provider. BRASS can bid on it, but here's what has to happen. I have to be able to know the cost per resident of the jail. So our financial system has to link to their accounts, to whatever they pay for, commissary, all these things. It has to be able to link that. It has to link our inventory, like how many uniforms are we giving out, so on and so forth. There were about 7 different tasks that BRASS does not do that we need for our system. So we put out there, and BRASS can bid, and if they can do the stuff that we need them to do, then they'll be a part of the conversation. But if they're not, I'm not going to violate the public bid laws and go use this system that does not meet my needs without any competition out there. So I've held the line on that, but I just want to remind the community, BGR, Bureau of Governmental Research, wrote a report this spring that said the New Orleans Police Department was over budget $42 million last year.
Wow.
Did anybody look in Brass and see that or stop it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and it'll happen again this year because of January 1 and the let out. I'm not gonna call it the escape, I'm gonna call it the let out, because it was a let out. But so Brass is not this be all end all. It's not. And it doesn't meet our needs. That's the main thing. Now, if they bid here and say they can do all the things we've asked them to do, then they'll be considered in the conversation.
But right now, this Brass is not doing any of, well, I'm sure you're doing some of it, but what you're asking, like the more modern things, like linking all of this stuff together so that you'll know if I put in the name of this water, all of this information comes up. That's what the new people that you're trying to get bids from will be able to do that, whereas Brass doesn't do that right now at all.
No, well, I've not gone in from the public side to see what you can see. I just used it from the city side. So you should be able to go in there, look and see what the who bid, what the bids are, so on and so forth. There we go. All right, so you can register it, but I've never actually tried to go in there and pull out any kind of data.
I literally just searched for like mental health, and nothing came up.
It's very difficult. It was difficult to use as a city agency. So I don't know what they're talking about there. What I really think they want to do, the city council, and I believe this is city council president Morrell, wants to actually approve my spending. Let me tell you something. If that happens, people will not have clothes in the jail. They will not have medic. They will not have food. They will not have anything. We cannot wait on that system. When the city needs a new when the city's not taking care of their buildings and they need a new one, they just spend and get a new one. That can't happen here. If this plumbing we saw earlier this spring, if the plumbing goes down, I have to evacuate that facility. So these things have to be taken care of in a timely manner. I have to be able to decide which gets paid first, and it can't be done from City Hall. It has to be done from the sheriff's.
Yeah.
Speaking of evacuations, this is the anniversary. I don't like using the word anniversary, really, like commemoration. Because you don't want to, anniversary is like a festive thing. This is just not that.
Right.
So,
marks 20 years.
yeah, it's marking 20 years. And we saw the total just breakdown of the whole entire city and everything. It happened across the board with everyone. Government, people, grocery stores. I mean, everybody was just caught up until the part where you just had to a lot of people you were reactionary. Whatever was going on, that's what you addressed at the time in the best way that you could think to address it. The same thing happened with Orleans Parish Prison.
Yes.
Devastation.
We're in another hurricane system, hurricane period right now. Can you, God bless you, can you tell me, then we know what happened with the prisoners. They were carted off in the middle of the night. People didn't know where they were. They were in the water. They were on top of a bridge at one time in the sun with no shelter, no facilities at all. It was sheer chaos, but it was inhumane because we were living in chaos at the time. So I can't really see everything was chaos, but it's a difference in the inhumanity that those people experienced during Katrina. So can you tell me, now that you are in office and have and got to witness that, what have you done or what can you say would be better with something like that happen today?
Yeah. I remember when I ran the first time talking to people who worked in the jail and who were in the jail. When the state had to come and get them out, they told them, you're going to stay right here as the water is coming up. And they're like, wait, what's going on? And then at the last minute got moved out, climbed up scaffolding to get on the Broad Street overpass. No. Communication broke down, all those things. So we've got the new phones that will, on the network, that will survive a bad storm. So we can stay in contact with our team and let them know what needs to be done. But category 2 or greater, we're trying to look at if we're going to need to move. It rapidly intensifies so much now that it's hard to make that call sooner to evacuate such an overpopulated jail. But we got a test run at it last year with Francine, where we evacuated the lower lying areas near Norman Francis. So it showed us that our system does work, but we know that if we have to evacuate the whole jail, I have to declare an emergency and ask the Louisiana Sheriff's Association Task Force to come help us move everybody. Because they'll have to come with buses and all those things to move them much more rapidly. That is all in effect, and we all pledge to help each other, so that will happen. But I'm just going to say a prayer. We had ours last year.
Well, we're not trying to own
I'm
anymore.
good.
We're definitely not trying to own up on anymore. But
we won't stay. We won't stay. The building's supposed to withstand a Category 4. I'm not willing to test that. 2, we're looking to see what are they saying. Is it a direct hit? What's the sustained winds? So we can make a quick decision.
Great.
Yeah. Well, we're coming to a close, and I think we've talked a lot today about all different types of topics, but I still wanted to give you the floor in case there was anything else you wanted to address and let people know about this election coming up.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for this opportunity. I believe in community leadership, and what I've been trying to do at this jail is let leaders come in. We've got trauma-informed care from folks who've been formerly in the system involved. We're trying to get be a human services department that actually deals with the root causes of crime. I've taken on everything this city has thrown at me. From the first week I got into office, there was an officer-involved shooting. After that, we had, at 45% staffing, we had the unrest in the jail where they were protesting. I've just dealt with whatever it is. And then, after all that, I haven't even been in office. 6 weeks ago, they asked me to take on Mardi Gras, and we've done that. And we've helped keep it safe, and the whole route's open so everybody can enjoy Mardi Gras. And we still patrol in the French Quarter. Deputy Madrigal's out there, and that's on a detail because they won't give me the funds I need to hire deputies and treat them well. But everything that's come at me, I've taken on, and we're still providing the care. Now, we had the great let-out, which occurred on May 16th. We're going to hold every single one of those people accountable. And I do anticipate something in the next month or so, at least one individual coming into custody for that. And then there's been other sabotage along the way that we're also going to be bringing out and holding people accountable for. So politics in this town are like nothing I've ever seen. My goodness.
Ain't nothing easy in the Big Easy.
Oh my God. But we're doing all that. We're expanding our victim services unit. We know that domestic violence drives up the jail population. We're trying to actually get to the root causes of that with those who are committing that, but also help those who are victimized by that to do better and survive that to do better. So we're continuing to do all the work that the city asks us to do. And we keep the children in the jail safe and on their own. So I don't care what the state says, 17-year-olds are not going to be with adults. They're going to be separate.
Mm-hmm.
It's an honor to serve the city. I want to continue to do that. We've got the structures in place. Now we just need the deputies and the funding. And we go.
Yeah.
And so what I'm seeing is that what you're saying is that you're not going anywhere. Is that what you're saying, right?
No, I'm going to run hard and I'm going to win.
That's what I'm talking about.
God willing. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to speak with us, truly. I know you're very busy. You got lots of Katrina 20 things to get to, so we thank you for taking this time.
Honored. And this day, which has been kind of,
Yeah, it's heavy.
feeling it.
Yeah, it's a crazy day.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to be here and support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming. Thank you.